Are you ready to stop riding the emotional elevator of life? Are you ready to learn how to elevate your emotions that keep you psychologically traumatized or in an addictive behavior? You are in the right place. Here is your host, Sandee Byrd, trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach of the Emotional Elevator Show.
Well, welcome everyone. I am Sandee Byrd. I am the host here on Emotional Elevator on the Inspired Choices Network, and you're joining me tonight. And I am talking all about what is stopping you from what is stopping you. What is stopping you? So let me give you a little tidbit about me, Sandee Byrd. I am a coach that has 3 programs coming up. One of them is about unleashing your authentic self. One of them is about thriving through forgiveness. That's a big one. And that's one that a lot of people are still working on because you got to forgive. And some of this topic tonight is all about that. And then find your empowerment within. I always stumble on that one. And these 3 programs, when you get on a connection call with me, we figure out which one is best for you. And there's no way to go through the programs. One program, it might be about unleashing your authentic self because you don't really know who you are. Because some of us realize that we've spent our whole time through our life, I'm putting down my magic wand, we spend our whole time through life thinking we are who we are, but we're really not. We've been conditioned through false sense of security, false beliefs, what we've been told who we are. So we really don't know who we really are. And that's what Unleash Your Authentic Self is about. I really embraced who my authentic self was a year ago. I never even liked that word authentic because I was like, that just is like a mindset BS. But I've realized over this last year that I am my authentic self. The one things that have carried me through my whole entire life that is still a part of me is my integrity. I am not a sugarcoater. I am not somebody who is not going to tell it like it is, but I use my compassion. And that is another part of me that is authentic is I am very passionate and I have compassion for others. I know we've all gone through trauma of some form in our life. And sometimes we need compassion, and sometimes we need somebody who's going to kick you in the butt. And that's who I am, and that's who I am authentically. So, like I said, that one is Unleash Your Authentic Self. Thriving through forgiveness, that is something that even sometimes I work through, and a lot of my clients that come to me are connected with me because of that. It's when you can finally forgive those that harmed you and really let go of the power that they have over you because you don't thrive until you can let go and gain your power back. And a lot of thriving through forgiveness, gosh, I'm stumbling over my words tonight. Thriving through forgiveness is all about letting go. And it might not be a person, it could be a value, or it could be something that you felt was part of who you are. And you've got to let it go and you've got to forgive yourself for believing that your whole life. And then there is also the find your empowerment within. And that is a big one. And when you start realizing who your authentic self is and you thrive through forgiveness, and it's not necessarily in that order, sometimes you want to find the empowerment within. You want to realize what is my life's purpose? What are the values that are mine now? And how can I have that empowerment? How can I set up those healthy boundaries in my life? How can I realize that the empowerment is to be with myself? Because a lot of us have been people pleasers most of our lives. So we feel like our power comes from everybody else's power. We have to be with other people to feel powerful. No, that's not necessarily true. to really embrace your own empowerment, you have to spend time with yourself. You have to spend some time by yourself. You've got to really dive into who you really are, and that can be your authentic self, but who you want to continue to be, how you want to show up in your life from here on out. So those are my 3 programs that I am launching. It is now October, so they are being launched. And like I say, you can always reach out to me at sandeebirdcoach@gmail.com or sandy@emotionalelevator.com or any social platform, Sandee Stingster Bird, and we can get on a connection call. If you want to reach out to me via email or anything, I can send you a connection call. And it's just a 30 minutes to see what program would work best for you. And sometimes we might get into one program and realize once you've gotten into it, maybe that one you're a little bit excelled in. So let's get you in this one. Or we just start catering the program to where you're at. Because that is exactly what my coaching platform is about. Is I want you to start figuring out who you really are and who you're meant to be, and start living that life that you're desiring, living the life you desire to live. And sometimes we can't live that life we're desiring to live until we let go of the false beliefs, the false sense of securities we have within ourselves, which end up becoming insecurities within ourselves. That feeling of lack, the struggles of, well, if I let that part of me go, who am I going to be? You're going to be a better person. So that kind of is a segue into tonight's topic. What is stopping you? And tonight's topic is all about is what is stopping you from living your best life and limiting yourself. Let's dive into the common roadblocks that hinder your personal growth and progress, whether they're external challenges or internal struggles. From those limiting beliefs to the fear of failure, let's break down those barriers that often come from within our mindset, past experiences, and self-imposed limitations. In this episode, I, Sandee Byrd, the host of Emotional Elevator, will share insights on how to identify and confront these obstacles, offering practical strategies to reframe negative thoughts, build confidence, and take actionable steps towards your goals. This episode is all about taking control of your journey, recognizing that the only thing stopping you is you, and how to move beyond it is to reach your highest potential. So that's what tonight is all about. And this is a perfect show. And this really came to me when I was coming back from a trip that I just came back from in Bali. And how going to Bali for me, landing and getting there, and my first thought of Bali was, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in this tropical place. Well, when you first get off and you go through the big towns, it looks like everything else. It's a town, it's a city. And then we went to a resort that is tropical. But as I'm going through and walking down the streets and everything we did, which was very challenging, and I'll go into detail of that, but I realized you don't have to fly halfway across the world to start working on yourself. And what is stopping you from doing that? And this is something that I hear all the time, and that really kind of unnerves me, I guess, in a sense, you want to say, is that what I choose to do, like fly across the world, that's not what you have to do. That's not where I started. And that's not where I would tell somebody, hey, you want to start working on yourself? Yeah, let's go to Bali. No, because if you have a lot of hangups with the lack of, going there can sometimes contribute to those lacks, because you get there and you start getting more guilty and feeling these things. So you've got to start with baby steps. And that was one of the biggest things we did, the Ling Ling waterfall. And this is what came to me. What is stopping you from going on the next step? What is stopping you from going to the next step? What is stopping me from going to the next step? And that's why this topic came up for me. It's because you've still got to take that first step. So when I talk about that waterfall, it was 300 stairs down to go to the waterfall. It's beautiful. You walked around, you went down, and then you went, oh crap. Now we got to go up 300 stairs. Now going down 300 stairs still can be challenging. These stairs, you're on cliffs, but going up can be very taxing on your body. I am not 25 anymore. I'm 55. I do have some limiting beliefs in my mind and in my body about me doing 300 steps going up. But as I spoke to myself, and every step became, this is getting easier. It's getting easier. It's getting easier. And I realized that all the trauma and bullshit, and I said this word bullshit, that I've gone through in my life, those steps were nothing. And I realized my mind is control of my body. I can control my whole body through my mind. And that's what I'm saying. And it made me realize that if people could just take that one step, because that's what's stopping you. I can't change because this is just the way I am. That line is a load of crap. I can't change. I've been a people pleaser all my life. I can't change that. Yes, you can. You can learn to set healthy boundaries. These are false beliefs that we have. And here's the biggest false belief as women that we have been raised, we have been conditioned. And we talked about this in our women's group, in our women's circle in Bali, is we are to sacrifice ourselves. Basically, we are to put everybody else first. Don't be selfish. You need to take care of your man. You need to take care of your kids. You need to take care of the dogs. You need to take care of the house. You need to take care of everything and not yourself. That is a false belief. If you are listening to me, and this can even go for men. So if there is a man listening to me, this can go for any of us. This false sense of belief that we have that we are supposed to be last. But let me tell you something. You get on the airplane, the first thing they tell you to do is put on your oxygen mask first and then help your child or the person next to you. That's where that should come into play, where you need to take care of yourself in order to take care of other people. But to listen in women's circle that we're breaking free of realizing that we've been raised, conditioned. I'm not sure if it's definitely biblical or just where it all came from, but that's usually the 100 thing that stops us, because I can't do this because I have kids. I can't do this because I have a husband. I can't do this because I have a dog. I can't do this because I have a house. That is a sense of lack. And oh my goodness, it's almost time for our first break. But when I think about this, one of the trips that I went on a few years ago to Greece, and I was feeling guilty because I'm like, gosh, the money I'm spending on this, I could be doing this. And I had that false sense of, well, I'm spending this money and I shouldn't be. And I realized money is always going to be there. And if it means I've got to do a little extra or do something on the side, then I'm going to do it for myself to feel the sense of with. And that's the one false belief that a lot of us have too, is that thing of money. That's a lack of, or maybe we've been raised with a family and maybe it's inbred in us that we can't spend money, or you can't travel until you retire. Well, there's cute memes out there of the old couple, I guess they're in Italy in a gondola and they're sound asleep. This is why you don't wait till you're retired to start traveling. And it's that. It's that whole thing that we've been brought up and raised maybe well, you can't do things until you retire. What if you never get to that retirement? We always think about future and past. We never stay in the moment. And that's what's stopping us. And those obstacles and those false sense of beliefs that we have that no, you can't do this because you're taking away from this, or no, you can't because I'm not worthy enough to do that for myself. I'm not worthy enough, but you are. And it's breaking that down. But we are, of course, going to go on this first break. You are listening to Sandee Byrd on Emotional Elevator on the Inspired Choices Network. If you're out there watching me live somewhere else, come over here to Inspired Choices Network and come in the chat room, join this chat room, maybe give me a belief system you have, and we can break it down. Because this is what this is about, is what is stopping you? What false belief do you have? And I'm going to give you some strategic steps that I started with when I started down this journey. And I even start with some of my clients. And that's why one of my 3 programs, or all 3 of my programs, will challenge you in a sense to start putting yourself first and breaking down these barriers that we put up from external false beliefs or internal. But let's go to this first break. And when we come back, we will talk about what is stopping you. So let's go to that break.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am Sandee Byrd, the host here on Emotional Elevator on Inspired Choices Network. And like I said, if you ever want to reach out to me at Sandee Byrd with that BYRD and Sandy with those 2 E's, coach@gmail.com. Join me on any social media platform at Sandy Steenstra Byrd, and that is me. But as I've been talking about, let's get into some of these false beliefs and some of the strategies I give to my clients. Like I said, you don't need to fly across the world to start breaking down barriers. It's taking these baby steps to really realize what your beliefs are. And what I mean by that is when you finally realize, can I do this for myself? Is it okay if I do this for myself? Because I do remember I was a breadwinner of 3 beautiful children, and I had a disabled husband. So I never thought I could put myself first. But there were times where I did put myself first, where I might go and do things on my own. There was times where I can tell you I went to the park and just sat and laid on the ground in the park for maybe 5, 6 hours by myself, just meditating, looking up at the sky. And that's things I challenge my clients when I work with them. And that's one of the things I will do in my program is just to challenge yourself to even go eat by yourself, because we even can't do that sometimes because we have this false sense of insecurity. That is a false sense of insecurity that, oh, you're a woman or a married woman, you shouldn't be seen eating out by yourself. Well, I do go. I enjoy being by myself. And that is the one thing I've learned recently too, is until you step out of the comfort zone and step into the uncomfortability, are you going to find what is the belief that holds you back? I never thought I could travel by myself. I never thought I could just talk to people by myself. But I realized that was a false sense of insecurity, false belief that I would have no value with other people. I would have no worth. They would not find me worthy. And that is definitely a false sense of, and I'm going to keep saying this, insecurity. Because now when I travel, like just recently, I met 2 women from Wales. I met a couple from Florida, and he does Lego series play. I do Lego series play. I met a woman who was from Japan. She lives in the States now in Colorado. And I met a young girl from Colombia. And we just happened to bond while we were waiting for our connecting flights after we got off our flight from Taiwan in LAX. And it was just that sense of, I'm just going to strike up a conversation. And it's something I would have never done. And I challenge even my clients when I'm working with them. I challenge them. Walk up to a perfect stranger and compliment them. Man or woman, doesn't matter. Just walk up to somebody and compliment them. Whatever you feel you need to be challenged in, that is something I challenge people through, because we do have a false sense of insecurities within ourselves. And those barriers are all they are. And what I also have focused on with other women, and I do for myself, you don't need to travel across the world to get deep within yourself. Find a local group that does a retreat in your area that might be for a day. Challenge yourself to do that. Challenge yourself to do that. That is another thing. And a lot of people, some of these, the barrier over money. Money. Money is going to come and go regardless. Money is going to come and go. And I have to say, and I have to commend my oldest son, taught me that. He started traveling internationally, 19 maybe. He's gone to more countries than I have. He didn't give a crap about the sense of money because he was on this journey of, I'm going to live life to the fullest in the moment because I don't know when the moment's going to end. See, he had seen a lot of death in his life. So he felt like, I need to live life to the fullest right now because I don't know when my time is going to be up. He lived in that scarcity mentality. But to me, in the same sense, he challenged himself to travel to places he knew nobody and met people and wouldn't talk to people online and just go to that country. And in a sense, we all thought that was a trauma response, but it still got him out of a comfortable. He became uncomfortable to get comfortable. And I commend him that he just decided to start traveling just out of nowhere. And when it came to money, he's always had money. And that's why for me, I'm going to say around 50, and I traveled, and that was a scarcity of mine. Here is my own child who's 30 years younger than I am, didn't give a crap about the money situation. Money is going to come, money is going to go. And that always dawned on me like that was a scarcity I had. And I didn't want to pass on to my children because, in a sense, it was passed on to me. And that was something I had a false claim to. And what actually stops you when it comes to that? Like, is it, I'm not deserving enough? But why aren't you deserving enough? And if I can challenge anyone listening to me, like I say, you don't have to go to some faraway place. Take time with yourself, even if it means going, and I've done this, on a town over, stayed in a hotel overnight by yourself. Take yourself out to dinner by yourself. Do things for yourself by yourself and figure out what is that sense? What is that feeling that you have? Why you can't do that? What is stopping you? Because I can tell you, a lot of us say, well, it's because I'm a wife, or well, it's because I feel guilty. What is the guilt coming from? Where is the guilt coming from? Why do you feel guilty? Is that a sense of worry that you have that maybe one, you're still holding on to a past situation, or maybe you were cheated on by a boyfriend and because you went out of town with your family or something when you were 17, you're holding on to that false sense of insecurity. I'm going to keep saying this. It's a false sense of insecurity. This is something I have been working on with clients is we hold on to what we think are a false sense of security, but it's insecurity because it keeps us limited. It keeps us kind of like pushed down. The fear of success. How many people are afraid to be entrepreneurs? Hello, hello, hello. I'm raising my hand here. I was at for the first couple of years of my becoming an entrepreneur. I was afraid of fear of failure and a fear of success. Why would you have a fear of success? And I hear that a lot with, well, I don't want to start a business because, I mean, what if I can't handle the bookkeeping or what if I can't handle that? Wait a minute, that's what you're worried about? If you know you can be successful and you feel like you can't handle the books, that's when you hire somebody to do your books for you. Or what if I don't succeed? Haven't you worked in an industry that will probably need you again or want you again if you didn't succeed? It's those, we're so afraid of what the future brings when we're not even living in the moment. And that is the biggest things I challenge people. And that's why I'm coming up with these new programs because challenge yourself. Challenge who you are. Challenge that. I'm afraid to because what? Can't do this because what? The what ifs of life can stop us. The what ifs in life can also propel us. If you listen to my the what if you did excel? What if my sense of fear of failure, lack of failure, That would not make sense. But what if my fear of failure didn't have me on here speaking on my podcast and people reaching out to me saying, wow, that really resonated to me? What if my fear of success, because, oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to be so successful that I'm not going to work 50 hours a week anymore. Oh, woe is me. Think about that. How many of us have been out there and has realized that these false senses and these barriers we put up, if we could just break them down, how easy would it be? It's not easy, but you got to take that step. You got to take that moment to say, why am I really feeling this? What would happen if I succeeded? And where did that fear of failure come in? At what part in our life did the fear of failure come in? Or the fear of success? Could it be that one of your parents wanted to have a entrepreneurship that didn't make it, and then all of a sudden, oh, don't ever try to do it on your own because you're going to end up just like your mom or your dad or whatever? That's not you. Those are the things we need to let go within ourselves. Or, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, matter of fact, money comes from trees. But money is going to come and money is going to go. It's one of my clients was talking about doing a trip, and the whole topic came down to, what is stopping you? Well, I don't want to work this part-time job. And I said, well, what if something somehow came to you that you could do this trip? Well, then I would go. But I don't have the money right now. Okay. So then within a day, I said, you realize when I went on this trip, it was because what landed in my lap was an interest-free credit card. And they went, I just had an offer for one. And I'm not saying put yourself in debt for it, but here's the thing. Sometimes those are signs from the universe. But we think, no, that's not good. You don't want credit. You don't want to put on credit. But that's what it is. That's a sign from the universe. Take that chance. Stop limiting yourself. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. That's a big thing. But anyway, it is time for our second break. And you are listening to Sandee Byrd on Emotional Elevator on Inspired Choices Network. And anytime you want to reach out to me at sandeebirdcoach@gmail.com or at sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Follow me on any social media. And if you're listening to me on any platform, like and subscribe. And if you can comment. But like I said, keep joining me on Inspired Choices Network and come over here to the chat room. And we're going to go on that second break.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back. You're listening to Sandee Byrd on Emotional Elevator on Inspired Choices Network. And tonight's topic is all about what is stopping you. And while I'm talking about what is stopping you, if you want to work with me, you can reach out to me at sandeebyrdcoach@gmail.com, and I'll send you a conversation where we can get to know what program will work best for you, because I have 3 programs launching. It is now October. It is time for me to start launching these programs. And the programs are Thriving Through Forgiveness, which is a big one that a lot of people, it's not about forgiving others. Sometimes it's about forgiving ourselves and letting go of kind of what I'm talking about tonight, the false sense of insecurity. And then there is Unleash the Authentic Self. Do you really know who your authentic self is? I realized who my authentic self was only probably a good year ago, who I am authentically. And how we do that is to unravel all the false senses that you have about yourself. Maybe a false belief, maybe a false beliefs are the biggest thing, or maybe it's a lack of. Who is your authentic self? What do you truly believe about yourself? And one of the things sometimes is integrity. A lot of people through their whole life have integrity, but they don't believe that's part of their authentic self because of all the trauma that they've gone through. And then there is Find Your Empowerment Within. And in more so, that is about putting up maybe that barrier of protection and letting go of the people pleasing. And I don't even know the word I'm looking for right now. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's, limiting your time with others that don't bring value to you. And that is what finding that empowerment within. Also, figuring out what your life purpose is, what motivates you in life. I now have a spreadsheet that works with that works with finding out your life's purpose, finding out what your motivators are. What is your values and beliefs that you believe about yourself, and how to empower yourself. And sometimes we go from being authentic to now we need to empower, or maybe we just need to thrive through that forgiveness. But tonight's show has all been about what is stopping you. And some of the topics have been a false sense of insecurity often stops us from ever being seen, especially eating out by ourselves. Take time with yourself. Stay in a hotel overnight or take yourself out to dinner by yourself. And I've also talked about entrepreneurship and doing things, or even going for that promotion because you have a false sense of fear of failure. Well, what if I go for that promotion and I don't get it? That's a fear of failure. Or what if I go for that promotion and then, oh my gosh, then I got to work longer or work harder? That's the fear of success. I've already talked about imposter syndrome, and a lot of this falls under that as well. And it's those barriers that we put up for ourselves that limit us. And, oh, I can never do that. I can never change this. Yes, you can. If you want living proof, I am living proof at 55 that you can redesign your life. Redesign. I love that. Oh, I love that actually for myself. I'm redesigning my life. I'm deciding what it is in my life that brings myself joy and happiness. And I'm letting go the false sense of insecurities. And I'm going to keep saying that. It's a false sense. We say, oh, what about that false sense of security? It's a false sense of insecurity because these feelings of lack, these feelings of misbelief in ourselves is insecurity. It's not security. We think it's a security blanket, but it's holding us back. So it's making us insecure within ourselves. And that's what I've talked about tonight. What is stopping you? What is stopping you from living the life that you deserve to live? We all deserve to live joyous, happy lives. And it doesn't, here's the catch to this. It doesn't take money to be joyful. It doesn't take money to be happy. We have a false sense of security around that too. It's something that I'm teaching my clients is to realize that we have a sense of security around money when money is not necessarily what is going to make us secure in life. So I've already brought up that I've just come back from a trip to Bali and I spent time with a Balinese healer and I asked questions about my life and my business. And he right away said to me, and of course there's a translator because he's speaking Balinese and I do not understand Balinese, but she right away, she smiled and she looked at me and she said, "You've been successful. Stop trying to chase success." And I was like, "What? I mean, what do you mean? Like, I'm asking about my business moving forward." And she's like, "Stop trying to measure your success with money." And I'm like, the whole thing in my mind is I want to leave a legacy for my kids. And if any one of you follow me on social media, I put that out there that he said, "You've left your legacy." And when I was like, I need more. Your legacy has been breaking generational curses. Your legacy has been healing you, your generations, and your generations to come. That is a legacy more power than money. And I realized that we are more prone to want to make that big money. We want to leave our kids maybe a Taj Mahal. We want to leave them security, but we're still keeping these feelings of lack of within them. And that's what stops us too, is that false sense of insecurity. And that's what stops our generations. And that was the biggest takeaway for me was that, wow, I've never failed in my life. I've been successful, but the legacy I'm leaving is more valuable than money. And that is what kind of propelled me even further now and really kind of made me realize like I have taught my own generations, my children, and my generations to come, if I have generations to come, that you can heal, you can change who you are, you can redesign your life at any age. You can take control and stop limiting yourself. Stop limiting yourself. I hear many people right now going, well, with how much I make, I can't do this. I can't do that. Why can't you? Because you're manifesting, because this is all about the mindset. You're manifesting your own failure. And that is not a sense of security. That is a sense of insecurity. It's taking these little baby steps and challenging yourself challenge what it is you think and believe about yourself, because that is the first things I try to break down with anyone I'm working with. Let's figure out where your sense of, we say security, but where your sense of insecurity lies. Why do you want to coach? Why do you feel this about yourself? How can we get from this point and not go backwards, but go forward? Because that's what my coaching is all about. It's not stepping back into the past and let's keep dredging it up. It's about how do we get from point A to point B and change what it is that keeps pulling you back to the past by not going to the past. That's the hard part. A lot of people limit themselves. And like I say, as women, we falsely believe that we are supposed to be selfless. And as women, I feel we need to be more selfish, because as we have evolved, we not only have become these super women, we're not taking time for ourselves. We're feeling we got to do more. We have to do more. We have to prove ourselves more. And we're limiting ourselves. We're putting up barriers for ourselves. We need to break down those barriers. We need to stop the people pleasing, please ourselves. Stop the people pleasing, please ourselves. Respect ourselves. Set boundaries, healthy boundaries in our lives. And stop saying you can't do things when you can. Because the more you do things, even with young children, the more you're going to teach them value within themselves. Because when you limit what you do, because you say you have children and you can't, and you can't, and you can't, you're instilling that in them. You're putting that I can't in them. You're putting already the barrier within them that you have within yourself. So think about that. What barrier? Is it internal? Is it external? I mean, one of the biggest lessons I saw was doing those 300 steps down, 300 steps up. Because we never heard of any other way to get in and out. And there was she's probably in her 20s, and she had probably plates all on one of her legs. And she obviously had gotten down the 300 stairs, which means she had to go up them. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is somebody who does not know limitations, who does not see their limitations. And that is powerful. Because how many times do we see people who were like, wow, how are they really doing that? But we don't think we can because we limit ourselves. They have a sense of security within themselves to know, I can do this. Because the mind is more powerful than the body, than the spirit. The mind is. And that sometimes is what's stopping us, is what our mind is playing over and over and over. So think about, what barriers do you have? What barriers are you ready to break down? What things can we work on to challenge you? Do you think you can take yourself out to dinner one night, on a Friday night, Saturday night? Can you take yourself out to dinner and be confident and sit there and maybe even have a conversation with somebody sitting next to you? Could you go out of town by yourself? Could you go and sleep under the stars in a tent by yourself out in nature? Could you? And why can't you? What is limiting you? What fear do you have? Oh my goodness, it is time for our last break because I'm running out of time tonight. And it's all about what is stopping you tonight. And I am Sandee Byrd on Emotional Elevator on Inspired Choices Network. Reach out to me at Sandee with those two E's, BYRD, coach at gmail.com. Let's have a conversation. Let's start breaking down your barriers, your false sense of insecurity. Let's get to that break.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Sandee Byrd on Emotional Elevator on the Inspired Choices Network. And I am almost out of time. But like I said, I've started 3 new programs. You can reach out to me at Sandee Byrd with those 2 E's and that BYRD, coach at gmail.com. If you would like to start breaking down those barriers that are stopping you from living the life you deserve to live. Because remember, at any time in your life, you can redesign who you are. That's going to be a new tagline for me. Do you want to redesign who you are? And you don't have to take these big leaps. All it takes is taking that one step to change your life. And in my programs, it's all about figuring out who you are through unleashing your authentic self, thriving through forgiveness. Forgiveness is the big one. And it's find the empowerment within. Find out who you truly are. What barriers do you want to break down? Not need, because if you need to do it, you're not going to want to do it. What barriers are you ready to break down? What false sense of insecurities do you have that you want to let go? And some of the recaps of tonight have been you can redesign your life at any time. How many times do you see people doing amazing things, but we think we can't do them? You have a false sense of success, a false sense of failure. And why can't you do things for yourself? And as women, why do we feel it's selfish if we want to put ourselves first? And that is a false belief that we've been told our whole life. And now it's time for us to break that down, because we are, if not more powerful, because we do so much more and we need to take care of ourselves so much more. So again, tonight has been all about what is stopping you. And I want you to reach out to me, Sandee with 2 E's, Byrd, BYRD, coach at gmail.com. And let's have a connection conversation to break down whatever is stopping you. That false sense of insecurity, those barriers, whether they're internal or external. But thank you tonight for listening to me, Sandee Byrd, on Emotional Elevator on the Inspired Choices Network. And good night.
Thank you for listening to the Emotional Elevator Show. Sandee returns Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, start elevating your emotions and stop riding the emotional elevator that is stopping you from living the life you deserve.